jokes for me. And sometimes the jokes were for men only. But they were very good. And then I started saying his name in the paper. Like, he's a celebrity. Every 3 months he's in the paper. And then I went to one of the club meetings one night and heard his talk. And we got together here. And wouldn't you know, one night I'm watching the State of the Union on TV. Guess who's there?
On Denise Locker, on Irving Locker's life of 71 good years. And for him. But he never argued with me, I say. I'd like to just read a little introduction about Irving. Many years ago, Irving Locker's captain, Mike Kriglinski, wrote a tribute to him. He felt an obligation to all who served under him, and also to Irving's family, to tell his story. He was concerned that others without military background might not appreciate Irving's accomplishments during 5 major battles, starting with D-Day and including the Battle of the Bulge. He went on to say that his earning a promotion to staff sergeant in a combat zone at age 19, after only 18 months of service, in charge of 65 men and all the anti-aircraft equipment, was the achievement of a lifetime. On another occasion, Paul Zuccari, who served under Irving, wrote that he was the moving spirit of the battery. He was our man of action and accepted the responsibility like a kid going after candy. He still does that. Irving could always be depended on to get the job done well and on time. What God failed to give this guy in stature, he more than made up for it by giving him an extra dose of good common sense and a lot of chutzpah. Chutzpah is colossal nerve, in case you don't know. He had the ability to move small mountains and was a giant of a little man. My guy. Mr. Irving, a proper welcome.
I want to thank everybody here from the bottom of my heart, because it's an absolute pleasure for me to get an audience like you, because people have to know what we went through. The kids don't know anything today in our school, but believe me when I tell you, this has to be carried on to know what we went through, because freedom is not free, believe me. And I have to tell you one more thing to start, or a couple more things. I went through D-Day, went through 5 major battles, and didn't get wounded. And they want to know why. I stood behind the battle. Let me tell you, the being little at that time saved my life. Can you imagine? We had to dig a foxhole. I was asleep an hour before he could get his pinch in there. I wanted to be little at that time. Well, I must start out to tell you that this is an absolute pleasure for the Lockers to be honored to talk to the Flockers. That was a laugh and a cry. We have some teachers and school people in the audience, don't we?
Yeah.
Okay, and I have to tell you just a fast little story. A mother goes in to wake up her son. She says, "Come on, John, you got to go to school today." He said, "No, I don't want to go to school today." "Oh my God, you have to go to school. What's the matter with you?" She said, "No, I don't want to go to school today." He said, "Because the kids hate me, the teachers hate me, and I don't want to go." She says, "Okay, I'm going to give you 2 reasons why you have to go. You're 48 years old, you're the principal, get the hell out of here." All right, here we go with this now. Here we go. All right. Can you see all right? Okay, I was born in Passaic, New Jersey. People here from Passaic at all? New Jersey. Okay, that's great. Gives you a little history. Anyway, I'm the baby of 7 children, and we were very, very poor. My dad, God bless him, was a shoemaker, and when it snowed and rained in Passaic, New Jersey, he'd bring home $8, $9 for the day. So, of the 7 children, I'm the only one who graduated high school. So, it's an amazing thing. But I had to go to work as well. So I worked at a gas station, and I'm bringing out a point, and I will make it in a minute, just I don't want to waste your time. Bringing out a point. I worked at a gas station, I learned how to drive trucks and tractor trailers and everything I could to make a living. Anyway, the war started December 7th, and went to Germany and Italy, declared the war on the U.S., Hitler and Mussolini, and then I was drafted. 1943, I was drafted and started. We went to Fort Dix, New Jersey, and that's only where they give you the uniforms and a gun and you march and just nothing. But then we went into the camp where we were assigned to an outfit. I was assigned to the AAA gun battalion of the 116. The gun was 9.5 tons each gun. The barrel was 15 feet long. I could shoot 30,000 feet up into the air at a plane. And Rommel, who was Hitler's top man, was going to put tanks on the beaches to keep us out. So we had the only ammunition, and when you take a look at the size of a bullet, this is a bullet. People know a bullet like an inch long. What we fired were 3 feet tall and weighed 45 pounds each shell. So I could go through the armor on a terminal of a tank like a piece of glass. So we went in on D-Day, and we done the second wave all the way on down the line. Okay, anyway, they brought in radar. This is just a motor pool. They brought in, that's a truck I drove in the gas station, so I learned to drive. But radar. Now we're talking 75 years ago, and I should have asked every serviceman to stand up because I wanted to count on it. How many servicemen we have in the crowd? You have our utmost respect, because you went through a lot of it that I went through, so I know what it is. Anyway, we went through, this is a tractor trailer. Now radar, now you're talking 75 years ago. People think you shoot at a plane. By the time you shoot a bullet here and a plane 25, 30,000 feet up to the air, to get that plane's 100 miles gone. The radar could tell me the height of the plane, the speed of the plane, and how far in front of that plane I'd have to shoot in order to hit it. And we had the top record of the First Army for planes shot down, so it really worked. I talked about the motor pool before, I should have translated that. They want to know, we're all high school kids, they want to know who could drive a tractor trailer. So, oh my God, what an opportunity this is. I won't have to march, I won't have to carry a gun, I'll pay it nice and high in a truck. Great. Report to the motor pool. I went to the motor pool, and there's a lieutenant about 6'2" or 6'5", looks down at me and said, "What the hell are you doing here?" Down that tractor trailer. He said, "You can't reach the handles to open the back door. Get out of here." I'll tell you what he really said, but the women are here. Anyway, go to the machine guns. I need little guys like you with a machine gun. I went to the machine guns, and I was greeted by a little Italian sergeant who looks at me and said, "Oh, us Italian, everybody on my gun's Italian, you're going to fit right in under your guns. Everybody's got to be Italian to work with me." And I opened my big mouth, and I said, "I'm not Italian, I'm Jewish." Well, again, the ladies are here, I really tell you what he said to me. But anyway, that's a short description of what the hell happened with it. Anyway, we went to the motor pool, and they transferred me to the big guns. Okay, the guns are 90mm guns. That's the size of the gun we fire, to get an idea. It's 9.5 tons each gun. Now in training, we had to train us to do that. I worked on the training. You have 3 minutes on that gun to get it to work and get it right, because otherwise if they're firing at you, you're dead. So you had 3 minutes to get that gun going to work out. Okay, this is the radar. Now, in a battalion, there are 4 batteries, A, B, C, and D. We were B. So if any one of those batteries shot down a plane and it came down in my area, it was my job to go out and make sure that the pilot was dead, or we captured him, and had to destroy the plane. So that was basically what it is. All right. So I went from a PFC to a corporal to a sergeant to a staff sergeant, and that's only for the men who are in the Navy who don't know what the Army promotions are. All right. So timer exercise. This is something that nobody knows about. When we were in England training, 2 German torpedo boats came in, E-boats came in, saw the activity, sunk 2 of our LSTs and damaged a 3rd. We lost close to 900 people at that particular time. It was a total secret, like D-Day. You couldn't talk about it or any, because they didn't want the American families to know their kids got killed before the invasion. So that's a deep down secret that nobody could talk about, but people have to know of what it was. Now, I was there on a different ship, so thank God I didn't go down with it, but that was it. All right, anyway, this is a Slotted Sands Beach. We took beaches like this. Now, you have to understand, we had to get on the boats, off the boats, on the boats, off the boats, you know, getting ready for D-Day. The guns were 9.5 tons each gun. We lost one of our guns from one ship to another. We went into the water, we couldn't get it out because it's 9.5 tons. We sent divers down, couldn't get it out. After the war, the French pulled it out. So if anybody goes to Utah Beach, right alongside the museum, they pulled it out. And that's my gun that was there. And they sent the medals and etc. because of it. They didn't know what it was, but I explained everything to them. All right, live ammunition. They wanted live ammunition overhead because right now, you know, so many of our soldiers coming back with head problems and don't sleep at night, etc. because of that PTSD, etc. So they wanted to use live ammunition overhead to get us used to it. People have no idea what we went through to get ready for this war. Talking about that. All right, time to exercise rehearsals. But we learned a lot of lessons because on the boats, etc. We learned how to the radio frequencies, better life vests, and you know we're talking about life vests. That's the name of the setup when we went into the invasion was called Overlord. We called it overweight. We had a 27-pound pack on our back, a 3-pound helmet on our head, ammunition across our chest and our waist, a shovel, mess kit, everything we owned. You imagine that when I'm going to show you pictures. Picture me in 5 feet of water, and you'll know what I'm talking about. All right, this is the Ghost Army. Now, this isn't what we call the Ghost Army. Now, let me talk about another thing that's very, very important. We tried to fool the Germans as to where we were going to invade. So the closest port between England and France, Dover, is set up to the point that they thought that's where we were going to invade. So what we did is we put this Ghost Army setup into effect. All rubber tanks, rubber trucks, rubber planes, all air inflated. Everything filled with air. And then when you see a picture of the camouflage from miles along, and then we use Patton's name, they thought that's basically where we were going to invade because of that situation. But this is it. Look at 4 men could pick up a tank and walk away with it. Wait to see the next couple of months. Now, when we camouflage it, really and truly, when the Germans flew over with their planes, their observation planes, they couldn't tell it was rubber. They couldn't tell it. All they saw was the same thing that you see here. And when you're up in a plane looking at that for miles along that road, that's where we're going to invade. So that's how we fooled them. Strictly California stuff, strictly Hollywood, what you see in the movies, is what they talk about. Okay, look at this. Wow, these Americans are very strong. But it happens to be true. It worked out wonderful. Okay, the largest water invasion in history. D-Day. 200,000 Americans, 83,000 British, Canadian, Polish, and 197,500 ground troops all made the invasion on June 6th the same way. All the blue lines that you see there are Americans. That's how we trained in England, and then we came into Utah Beach and Omaha Beach. The rest came in for Gold Sword. There were 5 different beaches that you came into. We came in on St. Mary-Glise. Now we just went back to St. Mary-Glise for the 75th anniversary. I went back with the President of the United States to the 75th anniversary. And we were there for the 70th anniversary too, that I'll explain to you in a minute. Okay, Normandy. Because we could take our guns, because it was on wheels, ready to fire, our battalion was the first wave to come ashore to protect all the ships and all the men coming in, plus the tanks were on the beaches to do that. So we had one hell of a fight to do that, to work it out. I'm very lucky. I'm here tonight, and I thank God every single day of my life, because I didn't get wounded, and I didn't get shot, and I didn't get killed. So I've got a lot to be grateful for, believe me. What you see here, all of these orange things are mines. This is how we came in on Utah Beach. The center line there is where the Germans had their roads, where they knew to come in and out. But the mines were the worst thing that happened to us because of this same situation. Believe me, this is a bunker. That's an 88 gun. Now we copied that same gun and made it a 90mm because it was one of the best guns the Germans had. So they shot 88, we shot 90mm. Okay, look at all of this. This was in the bunkers waiting for us to come in. But I want you to notice number 8, that I'll get to in a minute, the Goliath tank. Of course, men huddled around and prayed, not knowing if this day would be their last alive. We all thought we could have a long life to live, and it could be shortened with every little bullet and every little thing that happened. The amount of men that drowned, and the amount of men and everything else. Okay, now we're ready to give that last full measure of their devotion, and it worked out fine. Now, I talked about Rommel putting up a wall. They put poles into the water with mines on it. They thought if we're going to invade, we're going to come in at high tide. If we come in at high tide, we wouldn't see the poles, the ships wouldn't see the poles with the mines on it. They'd blow us to hell. We'd never get ashore on that basis. But when our planes flew over and saw these poles, we said, we can't come in at high tide, you got to come in at low tide. But that extended the beach another 300 yards for them to kill us the same way. When we bombed the fronts, the poles came down, but the mines were still there. Unbelievable. There were more dead Americans than you can shake a stick at when we were coming ashore with that. But the fortunate ones made it to shore alive, and it worked out. Now, the Allied aircraft, 14,674 planes. We lost 127 planes on that invasion, etc. People don't know half of it. Allied vessels, almost 8,000 combat vessels, everything that could float were coming in. Now, by June 11, 1944, 5 days afterward, the troops landed, the vehicle. But the big thing that I want to bring out is 105,000 tons of supplies. Now, people have to understand, everything had to be brought to us. Water, food, ammunition, parts, gas, oil, everything, parts, everything had to come to us that way because we had no way of carrying that out. Excuse me, just a minute. Allied vessels, etc., coming in for landing, etc. Okay. All right. The evening of D1, we shot down. Let me go back. Okay. All right, never mind that. We shot down a lot of planes. That's how they pulled our gun. Called a caterpillar, a full track unit, because with the mud and snow and ice and everything else, they couldn't use tires, etc. Plus the fact that the Germans had something that they invented, an anti-personnel bomb. When you see a bomb that goes into the about 3 feet into the ground and explodes, On an anti-personnel bomb, picture a 50-gallon drum full of dynamite. Put a detonator on the bottom. When it hits the ground, it goes sideways through our tires, our trucks. Thank you very much. Goes through our tires, our trucks, our legs, our bodies, and everything else. Unbelievable what we run through on that. That's the same thing, it's just showing you the difference. All right, but anyway, this is what my wife read to you, so it's not important. I'll take another 10 minutes. Now, what we talked about in number 8, this is called a Goliath tank, 2 feet by 3 feet by 5 feet long, full of dynamite. People have no idea. Now, we're talking 75 years ago, wire control. When our tanks are running, the drivers, of course, up high. They can't see down in front of it. Even if they could, it wouldn't work. That's a Goliath tank going in and blowing us up. My brother was in the tank. I know what I'm talking about, believe me. So he got wounded on that. All right. This is the biggest thing we have a problem with. Abstrakt means attention mines. These signs are every place you can imagine, every road, every field, any place that they could stick a sign, because it slowed us down. You didn't know whether to believe it or not. You know how many people stepped on a mine and lost their arms, lost their legs, and etc.? It's unbelievable, besides losing their life. So they put these every place you can imagine to do that, and they slowed us down and really hurt us. All right, some of the initiatives. I'm Jewish. The Yiddish language of the Jewish people is a derivative of German. I could understand a lot of the words. I couldn't speak their dialogue, but I could understand a lot of the words. So I became the procurement officer, which means the biggest crook in the outfit. So once I became a staff sergeant, I could take a Jeep and run it and do everything I want. And I used to run to the barns and steal chickens and eggs and anything that I could grab a hold of and bring back to my men. So I became the procurement officer to take care of my men. I found sandbags because we lived in a field. We couldn't be near a building or a city because shooting that type of gun, I could break windows and walls and everything else. So we had to live in a field. Everything we had to do was live in a field. I got sandbags to protect my men because when we're shooting, they're straight. The Germans were out looking for us. Don't forget, we were destroying their planes. We were destroying their tanks. We were destroying everything that we could. So they were out looking for us, basically. All right, now sleeping. So we had no toilets, no sinks, no showers. We lived out of our helmet. I showed some people, you take the liner out of that helmet, that's how you wash, that's how you brush your teeth, that's how you shaved, that's how you kept clean. Believe me when I tell you that. So I was out looking for different things. I found a barrack, a German barrack that we had bombed. I found a roof laying on the ground. Took it back, cut it down, shaped it, extended the sandbags, put a roof over my men's head so they could sleep in there. And what are anybody here of the Kellermans, Jonathan Kellerman, or Faye Kellerman, they're authors, very big. Anyway, their dad was in my outfit, a genius. He was up in a tree fixing wires and everything, but he put electricity in that. So my men could, it's not, you laugh, but it really, you have to understand what it is to live in the ground with nothing there. Anyway, let's talk about toilets. When I say we had no toilets and no sinks and no showers, believe me, I'm telling the truth. Living in Passaic, New Jersey, I didn't know what an outhouse was. I really didn't. But going to one of the barns, I saw a little building on the side of that. I opened the door of this little building. There was a door with a board with a hole in it. And oh, that's good. I took it away from the Germans, brought it back to my outfit. By the time we got done, I had a 5-holer. that I put hinges on and could take it so my men could sit down to move whatever they had to move. But that's part of the stuff that I did with it. I found a German with a water pump, watering his lawns and his fields, took it away from him with the pipes, with everything else. First time my men had a shower in 3 months. Now live with that for a minute. You're living in the ground, you're away from your family, you're away from everything else, not having a shower in 3 months. Can you even fathom that? That's why I say people have to know that freedom is not free. For the men that gave their lives and their efforts and everything else so that we could be here today is an amazing situation. So they have to be complimented with it. Okay. I told you before, we were in anti-aircraft, anti-tank, and artillery, so we could perform different things with little notice of it. Okay, anti-aircraft, so we could shoot down a plane with radar. Okay, accuracy, etc., to do that is wonderful from the higher-ups. Also, destroying tanks. Now, with that size bullet, I could go through the armor on a German tank like breaking a piece of glass. And infantry. When our troops are surrounded, now everything that I talk about is in writing. Everything. Even to the point that I have stuff here with a book that people will see. One of our men in battalion kept a chronological order of every single day of the war of my battalion. So I could tell you every single day where we were, how many planes we shot down, how many tanks we destroyed, everything that we did. And I didn't write the book. So it has to be true to that point. I mean, even that. I've got proof here where we had an infantry that was surrounded, and I'll come to it in a minute. We could shoot 6 miles over our head, and we knocked out the Germans with their guns and everything else. And we saved troops from complete annihilation because of those guns that we could move from here to there, and they pulled us from one end to the other. Okay, anyway, the Germans, how did they know where we were? We talked about the Red Bull Express. Every truck driver, every truck, when they dropped us off, regardless of the men or equipment, they had to go back to the port and pick up everything that we needed. Food, water, supplies, ammunition, everything, because we were moving so fast, we were pushing the Germans back so fast, they had to keep up with us. The only way they could keep up with us, they called it the Red Bull Express. People have heard about it. Anyway, they brought us everything that we needed. But we couldn't figure out how the hell they knew where we were. We sent out every patrol you can imagine. This gentleman that I talked about, Kellerman, was up in the tree fixing a wire. We had no cell phones. So all the wires from the telephones had to be up in trees, because otherwise we'd break it on the ground. You saw the truck come in, the Red Bull Express come in. It raised the dust in the road because we lived in the field. When the truck stopped, the dust settled. When we were unloading it, we got beat to hell because the Germans were shooting at us. They knew where we were. So you can imagine what it is being shelled by these 88s. Even on the beaches. They were so smart with that on the beaches. I could shoot 6 miles, so they have an 88 here and an 88 6 miles away to keep us on the beach so they could machine gun us to keep us intact to do that. And that's how they worked, and that's how we figured it all out. Anyway, this is what we talked about. Our 16th Infantry Division, 1st Division, was surrounded by enemy division, and we recently received an emergency call to shell them immediately. We commenced firing at once. It was later reported that we hit squarely on the enemy, saving the division from annihilation. Now, can you beat that? And that's what I said, we were pulled from one end to the other, because we could shoot 6 miles over our head and knock out those things and save our people from that. And then, of course, we had to protect all the beaches and protect everything to do that. So we could go 100 miles or 50 miles, etc., without any problem at all. Okay. The 7th Corps was part of our division, the AAA Gun Battalion, 200 planes. We shot down 40 of those. And the Battle of the Bulge, of course, everybody's heard about the Battle of the Bulge. The December 16, 1944, the world's greatest counteroffensive, Germany's last stand. They figured if they could cut us off from the port, we would starve to death and get killed, etc. This is what we lived in. Temperatures way below zero. Now, whether you believe this or not, I'm 95 years old. I take pills every single night because I got a touch of frostbite living in the ground that way to do it. Believe me when I tell you, every single night I take pills to do that. Because that's how we live. The 116th, which is my outfit, had fought its way into the Ardennes forest, which is about at the moment, where we were besieged near Bastogne. 28 German divisions battled 5 of our American divisions along the 70-mile Ardennes front. You can't even imagine what the hell it was. In 5 days, they had taken 25,000 American prisoners and destroyed over 350 of our tanks. Now, everything is in writing. So whatever I'm talking about now is in writing that anybody can check and look at. Okay, this is the day that General Patton sold his troops around and headed for Bastogne. Even him, he had a tough time convincing Eisenhower and all the rest of them that he could do it. But he did it, thank God, and he saved our life because of what he did with those, coming through with those tanks on that. All right, Cherbourg, Bastogne, Ardennes, all of that stuff, and that's Patton's picture there. On the left-hand corner is the Red Bull Express, just to give you an idea. Okay, the siege was broken, Bastogne was never captured, and the war ended. One of Irving's jobs was to disable planes, as I talked about before, to capture them. And that's where all of the things that I came from. And people will come up and see. I've got a German Luger there that's over 100 years old. When we shot down a plane, the handles broke on the Luger. I had the Germans make me ivory handles. I've got daggers here with the swastika still on it. Everything that I took away from pilots, I had reunions for 15 years afterwards, where we took everything apart, and when it came back for the reunion, we put everything together, and that's what you see there, to do it, to show people. Okay, now this is so important as well. I talked about us being very smart with the other things, you know, to fool the Germans. When they captured the Americans, they took the uniforms off of us. They put them on anybody who could speak German. Anybody German who could speak English was put into a special division. They put them in, with the American uniforms, they put them into the prisoner of war camps that they had there as prisoners, to learn how to curse, to learn how to swear, to talk about Mae West, to talk about movie stars, to talk about, so whatever they could do to convince us that they were Americans. Because when we drove at night. It's a strange country. They give you a map and that's where you gotta go. But if an MP, American MP is there, and said, no, that bridge is out, or that road is blocked, you can't go that way, you gotta go this way. That's how they captured us, that's how they killed us. So they were very as smart as we were on that stuff. Now, the same way with cigarettes, the same way when you ask a German to hold up 3, he uses his thumb. Okay? They had a change on that, even eating with Americans where we did it, cutting their food, etc. But it was a complete school that they did that with. Okay, now, we went from England all the way through the blue line that you see there by Berlin. Is where the Americans stopped, and then the Russians went into Berlin to claim the victory and do everything that they could. Well, anybody who could understand German was sent into Berlin because the Bürgermeisters, which is the mayors, the little mayors of town, were all at each other's throat because they were all each accusing, like our politician, accusing him of being a collaborator, being a Nazi, everything that they could to get the job. So I would stand there and listen to a few minutes, and then I'd pound on the table, and I said, I've been a year, that means I'm Jewish, and that stopped me. Now I have a German Luger, the most educated gun I've ever seen in my life. It spoke German so well that when I held it to their head and clicked it a few times, they knew exactly what the hell I was talking about. They knew exactly how to stop talking, and it worked out fine with it. But I have that same German Luger right here that I brought home. Okay, We liberated a Holocaust camp called Gardelegen. I have pictures with my own camera, and I'm not going to dwell on this too much because of people, but the St. Patrick's, St. Timothy's Church has a Gardelegen, has a Holocaust Day once a year, and I'm always invited there to light a candle and do whatever we have to do because we live in it. I'm the only American that I know of. I brought back a map of every Holocaust camp they had. And people do not know it. There are 2,400 camps, 6 exterminating camps. If you went into an exterminating camp, you were gone, you're dead. Otherwise it was all labor because everybody was drafted to do different things. So they put them into different camps. But I've got a map of every single camp. So anybody would ever tell me there was no Holocaust camp, they better be very careful. Okay, finally over, victory, and sent it that way. Okay, we would shot down 32 enemy aircraft for the 116 AAA gun battalion. We were the first army in planes destroyed. So I had one hell of a job, believe me. All right, I had congressmen come to the house and a few scores and everything, and I'm always in the newspaper, so that's another thing. Okay, these are the spoils of war which you see here. I dragged this all over just to show people what it is, the authenticity of these things that we had to live with and had to work with. So I've got daggers, I've got daggers, the helmets, everything that you can imagine. Interesting point, that flag, Nazi flag, came off a wall in Berlin. Now, people resent the fact but that to me is a memorial. I had all of my men sign it. They're all dead now. Most of them, 90% of them are dead. So to me it's a memorial that I carry that flag around so that these people are not dead in the people's eyes and they see a name. I get so many letters. You brought my grandfather back to life. You brought an uncle. They see a name on that flag. And an interesting point, I wear this cap here in the villages. A young man stops me. He says, I was only 18 months old, my father got killed. He said, I never had a chance to talk to anybody about the war, and I've always been interested in it. So I gave him my card. I said, I have all this memorabilia in my home. Come to my house and I'll show you everything and explain it. 2 weeks later, he called me on the telephone. He said, you're not going to believe it. I found your name in my father's army book. He had that same book. His father was in my outfit. I didn't know him. But his father signed that flag. So can you imagine what we went through with that when he came with his wife and children to my house to do that, to work that out. Anyway, victory, etc., to do that. Now, these are some of the things that you'll see on the table here. That Luger is 100 years old. It's got ivory handles only because when we shot the plane down, the wooden handles broke. So I had the Germans make the ivory handle. This unit is gun, this gun. I carry this gun every single day of my life in the war. When they're strafing or bombing, you jump into the hole. If a German's in that hole, one of you not coming out. So believe me when I tell you, it saved my life. So we carried it all the time to do that. All authentic. Captured German daggers that I have there, the same way, with all the swastikas on it, everything at all. Look at this, enjoying a gourmet meal of K-Rock. I have to tell you an interesting story, fast. We were not allowed to touch an animal. You couldn't kill a cow or anything else, in the war. You could go to jail, basically. One morning when one of my men came over to me society, I said, what happened? He said, I killed a cow last night. I said, oh my God, you could go to jail. What happened? He said, I don't know. I was on guard duty all night. I heard some noise. I told him to stop. I told him to hold. He didn't do it. I shot him. I never turned him in, but can you imagine how we ate? Can you imagine how we ate for the next week? Wow, unbelievable. So he didn't go to jail. He got praised. I could have promoted him. I would have at that time. All right, anyway, that's a Nazi flag, and that's Elmer Vanover that I talked about, whose father signed it. So believe me, it stands out in a crowd with that. Okay, that's me at 19 years old. And that's the shell that we fired, and I've got one of my closest friends my adopted son here in the village made that shell for me, and unbelievable. Okay, I'm wearing the French Legion of Honor, which is the highest award you can get from France, and other medals, but that I'm not interested in that. Now that tank, when we talked about in England, I talked about it before the war, before the invasion, where the German E-boats came in and sunk our LSTs. They decided to put a tank on the beach so we could put flowers, etc. The book that I have a chronological order of every single day. They wanted to know in England, there's a company called D-Day Revisited, a charitable company in England that brought back Americans so that we could put a flag and decorate that tank in honor of it. I'm the only American they brought back in because I had proof by opening that book and taking a full page of those dates. It was full proof that I was there, and they brought my wife and I back to that. So we were able to do that. Look at the size of that Goliath tank. I'm 5 foot tall, and look at the size of that tank to give you an idea. That's a picture of the gun the same way. That gun is on Utah Beach. Okay, I'm the only American, see there, with 55 British soldiers laying a flag on that wall. Now, interesting enough, anybody who goes to England, there's a company called D-Day Museum in England. It took them 5 years, 55 women. They embroidered a complete wall of the whole war that you see pictures of it, all embroidered on the walls of a big long building. It's so interesting, and it's a dedication to everybody in the war, same way. Very interesting. Okay, our kids here know nothing about the war. When we went to Normandy, the kids are all wearing t-shirts. I am a child of freedom, mercy, dear veteran. Again, I said I was wearing this French Legion of Honor. They all heard about it, and nobody had seen it. I said to the teacher, I gotta buy one of these to take home and show the people in the United States. Anyway, they took pictures with me. The kid took it right over his back and said, you can't buy it, you gotta take mine. And I have that shirt right here that I show everybody, because our children know nothing about the war on that basis. Okay, remembering his pledge to give his all, that was me. Now, this is the good part. While we were in England to do that, those three imitated the Andrews sisters, singing, etc. So it was wonderful. But everybody was kissing me and hugging me and holding me and loving me. It's strictly medicinal. I had lived all over my fingers. I wanted to take it on my wife and said, no, I'm going to take that to the divorce court. You weren't nervous? No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't married before me, after the war. But these pictures are after the war, not before the war. If they were before the war, I don't know about that. Anyway, that's February 6th. I'm going to tell you, I'm not talking politics, and I'm not trying to convince anybody, but he is one great guy to the point that we sat and talked. Now, what the hell am I to sit with the President of the United States to do that? My wife and I, we sat and talked. I had him laughing and joking and everything. I said, though, for a guy who can have anything in this world that he wants, you got it right in your hand. You can buy any goddamn thing you want, and you gave it all up to make America great. And all we got is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week of abuse. So we laughed about it and joked about it. But he's a businessman, and to me, he's a great guy to sit and talk about it. When I was invited in to Washington, I couldn't tell anybody. But I thought I'm just going to sit in the audience with the veterans, you know. I took opera glasses so I could see what the president looked like. 10 minutes before, they came over to me and said to me, you're going into the gallery with his wife and his daughter and 3 other veterans, anybody who had seen it. I said, oh, that's great. My wife couldn't even go with us. But it was just an unbelievable situation. And he made such a fuss and did such a good job with it. So, believe me, I'm indebted to him for that same thing. This basically is the worst thing and the worst picture, and I saved it for last. You have no idea when you talk about 18, 19, 20-year-old kids that are not coming home. And I told them, I talk about freedom is not free. And that I tell you, I thank God every single day of my life because of the same situation. I'm very active with wounded veterans and anybody that I can help that was a veteran, etc. We do. So it's an amazing situation. Okay, what we did had to be done, and I have to tell you one more thing that I think is great. There was a veteran who stepped on a mine, lost both legs and both arms. Yeah, John Peck in Afghanistan, okay? They put arms on him, real live arms. It's a miracle today, it's a miracle. He could feel, he could touch, no legs, got married, but he can put his glasses on, and he can actually, most veterans have prosthesis. These are arms from a person who died, and they took the arms and connected the nerves, and it's a damn miracle of what they can do today with these things. No legs yet, but he wrote a book, and we met him in Washington, and it's just a miracle, and that's it's so great. And I just want to leave you with that one thought, that they're working hard for the veterans today, and we all have to be very grateful. And I thank you so much for this invitation.
Have a nice dinner at, what's it called, dinner? Chop House. Thank you very much. One thing that Irving told me, Ray, probably didn't want you to know, when he was with the president, he did try to kiss Melania. He wasn't tall enough.